I'd like to call to order the King George County Wetlands Board, May 22nd. Public hearing on VMRC permit application number 2024-1141 and JPA Z 2025-00927. Request by Farleydale LLC applicant to perform maintenance on a dock structure for the purpose of bringing it back into service with the same specifications as footprints as the original permanent design. The repair of the existing boat slip is to facilitate egress and egress of private vessels. Like to open that up for public comment. Hearing none, like to bring that back to the board. El Bordo, what do you got to say?
Well, I didn't visit. I attempted to go down and visit the site, but so I think that's probably something we ought to talk about, how to coordinate. If we can, it implied we had access because we got directions, but anyway, I failed to. I wasn't able to get there. The only thing that's sort of in the fine print, originally as I read the package, it sounded like they wanted to do a repair of the pier and the bulkhead and dredge, but it appears they're not going to dredge if you read the fine print. So is that correct?
That's correct. Would you like me to ask the applicant to speak on that question, or do you want to?
It's just to verify that they're not dredging, because I looked at the date of operation from July to February, which would have been probably, if you were going to dredge, you'd want to do it because spawning is over. That's a good time to do that. So I figured they may have picked that time frame for that purpose. So just to verify, I guess you could ask them to verify they are not.
Is the applicant here?
The applicant is online.
They're online?
So would you like me to open
Are
it?
they not presenting?
Yeah, typically they present, right?
Yep. So,
They want to present?
So, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Hey, Lucy, this is John Brooks with GES, representing Dan Jacobs, the applicant. I'm happy to speak on it. We are not planning to dredge. We found through some bathymetry that we had enough water when we restored, when the pier is restored, that we'll have plenty of water to bring in and move out barges as we had planned. So only the dock repair is what we're planning.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
And we're going to match the dock as it was originally built. So there's no planned changes there either. It will, we're going to rebuild it exactly like it was built previously.
Thank you. Can you hear me, John? Okay. So,
And certainly I'm here for any questions as well.
John, are you rebuilding it or are you repairing it? John, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
I can.
Are you rebuilding it or repairing the dock?
It's a little bit of both. Where it can be repaired, we're repairing. Where we're needing to replace pilings, we're replacing.
I'm good with it.
So, John, is there a steep slope near the dock area?
There is. We're in the outer bend of the river there, so there's always in the outer bend there's a pool. We did not realize that originally, and we found that out, as we did a little bit more investigation and talked with VMRC and the Corps. So
Is
there's
there
deep enough water off of there that we don't need to dredge.
Okay. I meant more on land. Is it pretty flat coming from the land side? Or is it pretty steep down in the water?
It's pretty flat in that location.
Okay.
The steeper areas are up more into the bend, so we're down a little closer to, where it is a lot flatter. So there isn't as big a transition there.
Would you say there's any concern about erosion during the process of building the dock? Like into the water
No.
from the land? Okay.
No, the pilings will present minimal, if any, erosion. And then tying it to the land will basically be, there may be a couple of pilings up closer to the land, but that's about it. There should be no excavation. It's just placement of pilings and then building piling to piling.
I was looking at the drawings here. There's a buffer area, a 48-foot buffer area. Can you tell me what that is? On sheet 4, on figure 4 of the document?
That's the remnant, that's a remnant of the 4X buffer rule, which no longer applies because we're not dredging. So that was showing that our dredging was outside of the 4X buffer for the tidal wetlands that are adjacent in that light green. So we're no longer in that. We're no longer dredging. So that's an artifact of that. Sorry, that probably should have been removed from that drawing because it no longer applies.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there a time frame on getting this project started and completed? I didn't know, I didn't pay attention to how long you're applying for the permit. Just, is that for,
Yeah, it was there, July 1st to February.
wow.
They had marked July 1st start till February.
I've learned it in my life to apply for a longer permit than you need. So I put it over 5 years, but it should be like less than a 6-month process once we get started. It should be really quick. But I always apply for a longer permit than we need.
Yeah, I believe I saw July 1st to February, but which would be good for the sake of spawning fish. It's not really if you're disturbing the bottom and creating any silt. It's usually you try to avoid. But that's a good time that you picked. Do you believe that period is when you will complete it?
Yes, that is our goal.
So I'm looking on sheet 9, it looks like the dates are wrong, or it's off by a year. It says July 1st
Well,
of
the permit's
2024.
been around a little bit.
So would you
There was-
say it would be July 1st, 2025 then?
Correct.
Okay.
It may be 2026, but we just have to look at exactly when we can get all of the permits.
Okay,
We've got to get Army Corps, we've got to get VMRC, and we've got to get, y'all's permit approvals. And then once we have all that, we can move forward. So VMRC doesn't issue until after y'all issue, and we have the Army Corps permit. So it's just bearing that and then basically getting a marine contractor in to do the work, and they're all very, very busy. So it's just coordinating that. And all in all, it's not a complicated project. It's just getting the right contractor that has availability.
so what's the historic site on page 10? You say there's a historic site or historic property adjacent to the site?
Do you mind scrolling to page 10? I mean, it's probably,
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I did mention something like that.
there we go. Yeah, so we didn't find any historic resources, cultural resources, buildings, or mapped battlefields. I mean, the view shed's pretty limited. I mean, we're treed completely on our side. It's treed on the other side. So essentially, unless you're on you've got a historic district within 3 miles.
Yeah.
And then the other mapped features are well outside of where we're working. So
Yeah, so
these are
that's
quite
the,
distant.
I see it here now on page 14, the Powhatan Historic District. Is that what it was?
Yes, yeah, it's more than 3 miles away. So view shed impact is what you generally consider there, and we're far enough away that we're not going to have any view shed issues. Again, we're treed on both sides, and then the architectural features are the same way. I mean, they can't see our site, we can't see them.
Any other questions? Board?
I got one more. You guys cutting down any trees?
The plan is no. The trees have already been removed. There's a 50-foot wide area that exists currently, and we're not planning on cutting down any trees. So the only disturbance we will do is putting in the pilings and when the decking hits shore, and that's it. Like I said, there's no planned grading, at all match grade.
Yeah, I went down and looked at the site. It looks like it got a really good base going down to that. It doesn't look like it's going to impact any of the wetlands much on either side.
No, sir. It will have zero impact on wetlands. We'll bridge those, and we'll be high enough above those where they'll persist underneath the dock.
Get Lucy to get a hold of Peter, and you can go down there and look at it.
Okay. We're talking about a site visit.
Yeah, we can certainly arrange one. The property owner locks it up just when he's not there, just to keep, there's no longer a resident on the property to kind of keep watch over it. So he locks it up so he doesn't end up with other people's unwanted goods, if you will.
Yeah, I can, do you mind if I give them Peter's number and, maybe they could set that up with him?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call me and I can arrange it through Dan Jacobs or call Dan directly. I know that he would be more than willing to have somebody come down and do a site visit. VMRC came down today.
Yeah,
For a
I
second
have both
site
of their
visit.
numbers. I have Dan's and Peter's number.
Yeah, Dan would be happy to take you on a site visit. And Dan is probably the best person to contact.
Anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Is there any more, discussion on this proposal? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay, next on the agenda is old business. We need to vote to accept or amend the bylaws.
Mr. Chairman, I had a couple of things on these bylaws that I'd like to present at this time. The first one is on page, I guess this is page 1. Section 1, Article 5, which states that a meeting of the board shall be held on call off, OFF, it should be OF, of. So can we get a correction on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I corrected it. And it will be living in the community development office. If you ever need us to print you additional ones, we can. I also put them on the middle of the table. I'm not sure if you took any, but it should be under that packet. So those are the updated. We got some notes from Mr. Courtney. We corrected all of the, grammar, spelling, spacing, made it look a little nicer. So those are the updated ones.
Is it corrected? Can I run down my list of corrections? I'm doing this from the copy of the one that was sent to me in the packet.
One says November 21st,
November 21st, 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to mark them up and drop them off at the office, I'm happy to go through and correct any edits that you have. We talked about that at the last meeting, and Mr. Courtney provided two, I guess, iterations of notes, but that must have, fallen through. It's a little bit of a wordy package, so yeah, if you want to mark them up and drop them off, I'll make those edits.
Okay, these are different from the ones, I picked up one, from your office, it must have been January. And this packet is different than the one I picked up.
Correct. So it's been improved or corrected. We also have a different county logo, so that's been updated on it. And the one that I printed today says reprinted May 2020 or May 2025 on the front page. So that would be a good, way to distinguish between the two.
Okay,
So the ones that are provided today were also the same ones that were mailed to you. The only difference is that today I wrote reprinted on the 22nd of May. So that nothing should be different between the ones that were mailed to you before this meeting and the ones that are on the table.
okay, can I run through this list? And I would like, the things that I bring to your attention, corrected.
Sure.
In section 5, it says following procedures shall be followed during a public hearing. As stated twice, it should only be stated once.
What page is that on?
Section 5.
Section 5.
I have no page numbers here on mine.
Oh, I see it. Section 5, Article 6, public hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yes. Then we are next to the last page. Step 1, where it states, complaint shall have completed by the designated enforcement officer and signed before a notary public, and that A should not be there. And work stop order shall be issued. The A should be missing from that.
I'm not seeing it. What page? You said second to last page?
Where it says step 1, and it's step 2A is what I just read that from.
For clarification, are you saying?
And on procedure 5, step 2. It's next to the last page. Well, it is the last. Well, the last page is over here, next to the last page. Step 2 says, if working, it should be if work is in progress. And those are all the corrections that I had, but I did have a question on Article 8. Talks about restoration hearings must have 30-day notice, which states time, place, and purpose of the restoration hearing. Notice shall be issued to all affected parties, including those listed in Article 6, Section 2 of the bylaws, and shall also be published in a newspaper with general circulation as specified in Article 6, Section 3 of these bylaws. As updated as things are now, nobody gets a newspaper anymore. So I thought it should be something else besides a newspaper. Other than, I didn't have an answer for what that is because maybe.
So the county posts all of the upcoming board meetings on the county website. They also have county social media pages, but it's a requirement of the Code of Virginia that things are posted in the newspaper of local circulation. So that's why it's in there. As it is with the planning commission, if you have a planning commission public hearing, it needs to be posted in the newspaper. So that, I believe, comes from the Code of Virginia. So.
Then I'll bow on that one.
Okay.
But the rest of them I stand on. I think these are corrections that are necessary to be made. Does anybody else have anything else? That being said, I so move that the bylaws be approved with corrections. If I can get a second.
Which correct? Just the three, right? No more? The three that we went over?
Yes.
Okay.
Or do you?
No, I don't have any more. I don't have any more. I just don't want to have to keep approving them and looking at them unless something changes. So I would say if it's for the three changes and not any others.
Yes.
That's how,
just
and then I would
these three
agree on
changes.
that. Yeah, so we don't have to keep, unless we want to change like a whole section for some reason. So I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Okay. Next is new business. The FOIA training webinar requires within 90 days of notice for all board members. What are we supposed to do?
So there's a sheet, it looks like your agenda, but it's not. It's also been mailed to you, I believe, in the end of April and emailed. It's a FOIA requirement for all locally appointed or elected officials. And they basically require that the local officials do a 1-hour FOIA training, Freedom of Information Act training. And it's a 1-hour webinar. And then when you're finished, you can just tell the local clerk, so that would be someone in community development, that you completed it. If you would like me to forward this email again to you all, I'm happy to do that.
So when's it due by? July 30th?
I believe so, July 30th.
Okay.
Okay, I'd received that, but can I come into your office and have you set that up on a computer for me so that I can review that?
Happy to, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, anytime.
thank you.
Yeah, of course.
When do I have to have it done by?
July 30th, I believe.
So you're not tech savvy, are you? When it comes to the technology.
I'll give you my story right quick. I had to deal with computers while I was working, and every time I get working with a computer, I think about work, and I'd rather not.
There you go. I love it.
I'll second that.
What was that date again by?
July 30th.
Thank you.
You get fired if we don't do it?
So is it statewide? the FOIA requirement?
Yep,
And it's new, huh?
I believe it's with the General Assembly as of 2020, so it's like in the implementation, I believe. Not sure.
Any other new business? What were we talking about earlier? If you wanted to bring up. Was it something about the site visits, or was it?
No, just, I guess my confusion was the package implied that you had access to it and it didn't. So the coordination, if I see in a package, it looks like we're able to access it. I know 3 of us can't be there together because it's deemed a meeting. And we probably ought to, my recommendation would be that we would, see a number, a way to get access, that it would be required. But I went down there, the gates were locked. I went to the next gate and I watched the guy drive around it, but I didn't want to break the law, so I didn't do that. But, it seems like if we get a package, I politely asked that we should know whether we can get access or we need to request access. Otherwise, it's, not that it was a big deal, but I live on the other end of King George by Maryland, so, I drove down thinking, okay, I'm gonna get there before this meeting to be prepared, and that didn't work out. So I guess my suggestion is, if requested, if we would like to be diligent and make a visit, and if we're gonna make a visit, we should know we have access, or we don't, and we need to request it. That's all.
Sounds like a good job for the chairman to do after he talks to Lucy.
So I guess that would be like after July, right? Because that's the start date, or did you want to try to get there before they start working?
At this point, since it was approved, I don't feel like I'm adding any value to be educated by going and seeing it. I think I got my questions answered. I was curious, because I saw in the fine print they weren't going to be doing any dredging, and I wanted to see why is that, and what it is. You asked a good question about the buffer. I'd like to see what kind of erosion, what is it going to look like when they get down there and start ripping pilings out. But I think the questions that were answered or asked today and answered satisfied my interest. I'm not going to just be nosy and drive down there at this point, but just for the future.
Well, sometimes it is good to look at it, even before and after. We don't get to see enough after the fact permits, unfortunately, which I would like to do. We go down, we see them before they do it, and then I've been on this board for quite a while, and I don't think I've seen hardly any completed ones. I have seen a few down at Dahlgren,
Yeah.
Well, this would be a good one to see because it's commercial. It's not somebody's house, Makes it a little easier, I guess, to broach the subject.
Lucy, I did have one question before we close out, and that is, how is the project going about having the tombstones to move off of the Potomac River?
I know it was approved for land disturbance by our county administrator at the end of last summer. So I would assume that work is continuing now, and I'm sure that the applicant would be open to you seeing the progress. I can connect you with them if you'd like.
Could you make contact with them and let the chairman know?
Yeah, of course.
And we can.
Well, that wouldn't be considered a meeting either,
Yes.
would it? Could we go as a group?
I'll have to check on that. I'm not sure.
That would be kind of cool if all 4 of us could go.
Yeah, I'll check on that.
I mean, it's already been approved, it's in the process, it seems like it would be legal, I don't know. I think any education that the board gets as far as looking at wetlands is important. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is that the Virginia Institute of Marine Science has webinars and classes that we can take, or perhaps even go down there on a field trip. It's a really, really interesting place, and they will take you through and show you different types of wetlands, different types of wetland grass, just the whole deal. And they haven't done it since COVID.
I can check on that for you if you'd like me to see if we have it in the, professional services budget for the Wetlands Board. I'll look into that.
Yeah, I like that, because the Army Corps of Engineers analysis in the packet here had all the scientific names for trees and for shrubs and herbs, and I had to look it up, because they probably teach you that at some of the classes, right?
Nothing else, do I hear a motion for adjourn?
So move.
Anybody second it?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.